Good morning. Thank you for listening. I have with me here Ed Murphy, entrepreneur. Famously, Ed Murphy and Tom Enright, the Chief Executive of the Wexford County Council, had a chance meeting. Ed said to Tom, "Give me a role and I'll help." They did the unthinkable. An entrepreneur offered his services to the boss of a local authority to do something. It was a giant leap of hope and imagination by Tom Enright, and a giant leap of hope and imagination by Ed Murphy. Ed, you were an entrepreneur in Dublin and other countries, and you might have just taken it easy, lived the good life, played golf, travelled around the world, and so on. What motivated you to offer your entrepreneurial expertise to Tom Enright to help Wexford and offer your services to do that?
Good morning, Michael, and good morning to your listeners. I had sold a business in Dublin, and it gave me the opportunity to take time out, look around for what I wanted to do next. I had started a number of businesses, and this time I decided, no, I'm not going to start a new business. I'm in the lucky position that I could put a few years into doing something and giving something back. And I suppose one of the places I wanted to give something back to is where I come from, and that's Wexford. While I live in Dublin, I wanted to go and spend more time in Wexford, and I wanted to give something back to Wexford. I did realise, to my horror, having introduced a company from California to Wexford called GrandPad a couple of years ago. When they were launched, to my horror, I heard that this was the first company in 10 years to have been relocated or brought in as inward investment into Wexford. I just couldn't believe it that Wexford had so little success in inward investment and so little success from working with organisations like the IDA and Enterprise Ireland. After that launch meeting, that's why I went to Tom and I said, Tom, look, I'd like to help. And I found my, I suppose, passion of what I wanted to do, having the time and probably the capability of doing it. I suppose having run a number of businesses and having been part of a number of organisations, whether it's, Home Care Association, dealing with different government departments, whatever, I probably was in a good position and probably had enough confidence to think that I could actually make a difference. Even though I knew nothing about inward investment, I decided I'd give it a go, and it'd be an enjoyable new learning for me to do something for Wexford and giving something back. And look, I couldn't really fail because we were coming from such a low base. Anything would have helped in terms of Wexford, in terms of creating the right environment for economic development and bringing in new jobs, new companies, new talent, etc.
Amazing. It's been a year since you mediated the big business thinking in Enniscorthy. It was all about job creation. It was organised in conjunction with Enniscorthy Chamber of Commerce, where the chairman was Jimmy Gann, entrepreneur and broadcaster on South East Radio. You had Alan Corcoran on South East Radio as moderator, facilitator there. You focused on the potential for Enniscorthy and the technology park there. You got some of the most iconic Wexford people into the Seamus Rafter suite in the Riverside Park Hotel. They sacrificed their Christmas holidays to be there. Can you tell me more about that and what inspired it?
My plan was and still is to develop a team of business people and imaginative people and creative people in each of the 4 towns of Wexford. Jimmy Gann and Ger Mackey came to me from Enniscorthy first, and I decided for that reason just to start off in Enniscorthy. We had that meeting more to introduce the idea that we shouldn't wait on the government, the politicians, the IDA, Enterprise Ireland, or even Wexford County Council to create an economically successful environment in Enniscorthy. We need the local people to step up to the plate and actually try and create that environment themselves, knowing that the more effort they put in locally, the more organisations like the IDA or the government or politicians would get behind it, and get behind the potential success of it. So therefore, that day was effectively a recruitment opportunity for me to see, by introducing the idea, could I get people to come up to the plate and volunteer to help us with it? It was a very good recruitment tool, because we've since recruited about 20 people, local business people, who have come together to create what we call now reimagining an Enniscorthy town team. We have a strategic plan, and we have a vision, we have a mission, we have goals to be hit over the next 5 to 10 years. Out of that, we've created 4 different teams. One team is called the environmental team. They look at Enniscorthy to look at all the properties, look at the fallen down properties, look at the need to build properties, they need to look at the roads, the walkways, the driveways, the cycleways, the waterways. We've put together a team there of about 5 or 6 people, and they are working on about 6 or 7 different projects to actually clean up and improve Enniscorthy, to make it a nice place and an attractive place to live, to work, to play. That's their job. We have another team, it's called the grants team, and they look at from everything from EU grants to our Irish government grants and other grants that Enniscorthy can get to actually help improve the place. We have another team that's working on sustainability. They're looking at bringing a UN Centre of Excellence into Enniscorthy. They're looking at air quality, water quality, and becoming an energy efficient town, and a pilot for retrofitting of old properties. That's another team. And then we've another team that are marketing, PR and sales team, who are looking at to attract talent, to attract companies, and to create an environment for which to push and positively push Enniscorthy. Because the problem in Enniscorthy as well, we find that the people themselves are in Enniscorthy don't think highly of their town and don't talk highly of their town. So we need to do internal communications and actually get people thinking and talking positively about their town. So that's a marketing team that we have. So we've put all of those people together. We meet as a group overall every quarter, and each of the teams meet at least on a monthly basis, and they're working very well together. Really good people, really people who want to make a difference for Enniscorthy, and certainly it's coming from a low base. So I'm very, very hopeful for Enniscorthy going forward. For instance, we've all got together early in the process and we developed our own vision, the vision for the town, which effectively defines our desired future position, and it's a focus on tomorrow, and that is to ignite the huge potential of Enniscorthy to be an extremely attractive, enjoyable and smart town to live, work and visit.
I was really impressed, having been there, Ed, to have seen that you had some of County Wexford's most iconic figures, including Patrick Prendergast, the Provost of Trinity College. You had Rory Fanning of Slaney Foods, and Jerry Mackey was there from Wexford County Council, and a number of others, including Jimmy Gann. I was really impressed that you had there amongst that group Michael Dempsey, who was the chief executive of a major pharma company, and he has now taken a lead role in the development of Enniscorthy.
Yeah, Michael Dempsey is effectively the chairperson of the Reimagining Enniscorthy town team. So he's doing the chair, and it's lucky because Michael is retired and he has both the time and the passion to do it. But I'm very much would like to say that it's amazing. The 4 teams we put underneath Michael have all got a team leader. And we have just an amazing group of people, and they're all from Enniscorthy, they're all locals, and they're all extremely passionate about making a difference, voluntarily putting a lot of time and effort into it. And we are going to make a difference in Enniscorthy. It is going to improve significantly over the next 5 years. I have no doubt in my mind about that, genuinely no doubt. I think it takes, and you mentioned a number of the names. I'm not going to go into all 20 of them at the moment, but we've got them all, every one, and we have very eminent, very worthwhile, very strong group of people who are getting right behind this. And the teams are meeting regularly. The teams are working on different projects. I just see a lot of success for Enniscorthy in over the next 5 years. We will create an environment, and that's a very important thing to say. You cannot attract worthwhile companies and worthwhile talent if you don't have any environment for them to live, to work, and to play. So that's one thing that we needed to get stuck into in Enniscorthy. We will not attract them if we don't sort out a number of the issues that need to be sorted out in Enniscorthy. And so we needed to do that. We needed to get down and dirty on working on a number of those projects. So we're working on that, and it's working really well. I'm very positive about Enniscorthy and the possibilities. And we need then to replicate that same effort in each of the other towns.
Excellent. And I hope you'll do likewise for New Ross and for Wexford Town.
We certainly
ultimately.
will. We certainly will.
Why, in your opinion, did County Wexford sink from being the model county of the 1890s to the poor county or the abandoned county 100 years later? I know that Wexford has now moved up the charts since, for example, household disposable income, and it's now about midway on the chart, roughly the same as County Kerry. Why is that, Ed?
I certainly, in my view, it is, you mentioned about a laid-back attitude. It is the laid-back attitude. We have sat back and waited for the politicians, the government institutions like the IDA and Enterprise Ireland to sort out our problems for us. It will not happen unless we take it from the ground up ourselves. It will not happen. It didn't happen, by the way, in other counties, unless it was taken by people, local people, doing it for themselves. And no matter what county you're talking about, and it will not happen in Wexford unless Wexford people, local people, get stuck into their own communities and try and make it work for themselves. There's no magic answer to this other than go work at it. Almost treat Wexford Inc., Wexford the community, Wexford the people, Wexford the economy. If we don't treat it like starting a business and working at it day in and day out to sell it, to market it, to put the infrastructure right, get the people right, if we don't do that, it won't happen. And we haven't done this up to now. So that, to me, it's the laid-back attitude and wait for someone else to make it happen has been the reason why we haven't done well up to now. Simple as that to me.
I'm recalling your meeting in Dublin where you gathered a number of the leading business people and influencers and opinion leaders into rooms there near Burlington Road. And I'm recalling Tom Enright showing a map of Wexford and showing how Wexford, which Colin Tobin said was another republic. But Tom Enright said that he pointed out, I should say, that Wexford was down there in the southeast, and he pointed out how infrastructure was quite limited and how it had been left behind, almost as an afterthought. Now, I understand that you were behind the scenes in the introduction of a number of setting up offices in Wexford. Why big businesses and so on, why should the big pharma, IT and fintech companies locate to Enniscorthy or even to Rosslare?
Why should they? There is, there is no reason why they should not, is probably the answer to that. And why not? In terms of Wexford, just in terms of where we're at right here, right now, we have the talent. There's about 8,500 people a day commute out of Wexford to go to work in Waterford, Cork, Dublin, whatever. So we have the talent, they're just not working here. We have now got the road infrastructure, whether it's to Waterford or towards Cork or to Dublin. We have, better quality of life than our cities, and that's probably come true in the COVID era for a lot of people who see that. Compared to most other places around the world, when I arrive in a number of cities around the world and I'm going to visit a business, it's not unreasonable to think that I get out of an airport and I take 1 or 2 hours to get to that business. We are an hour and a half from Dublin Airport. That's not a big deal. So we're close to ports, we're close to the capital city in Dublin. So I don't see Wexford as any issue whatsoever. I remember taking a company grandpad who arrived over here, and I collected him at the airport, and I had him in Gorey in an hour, and they thought, was Gorey just a part of Dublin? And it pretty well for him, where he was about 2 hours from LA airport in his business in Orange County, he didn't see it as one bit of an issue to be coming to Gorey to set up his office rather than settle it in the middle of Dublin. He had no issue, but the problem is we have never been selling it to people like this before. We haven't gone on a sales job, and it wasn't a big difficulty. Why has Wexford not got it? It's simply because we haven't been selling Wexford. We haven't been selling it. IDA haven't been selling Wexford. Enterprise Ireland haven't been selling Wexford. They have their own agendas. We ourselves haven't stood up and said it. I also look at now, we've got property solutions. We have a beautiful new building in Gorey. We're building a beautiful new technology building in Enniscorthy. We have a new advanced factory being built in New Ross. And we're about to build an iconic business park called Trinity Wharf in Wexford. So there is fantastic work being done, and being honest, that's been done and facilitated by Wexford County Council. No other county council in Ireland are doing what Wexford County Council are to create the environment to make it possible for companies to come here. We also have, it's very important to say, and this has never been sold to Dublin companies, it's 33% less costly to run a business in Wexford than in Dublin. And there's more houses available, and for your employees, for companies that are employees, there's 67% less cost to buying a house in Wexford than in Dublin. And also for your employees, if they live and work in Wexford, and let's say they're on 50 grand, they have 40% more disposable income living in Wexford than Dublin. There are huge reasons to attract talent and to attract companies. We just haven't been out there selling it before. It's as simple as that.
I've often wondered about our proximity to Wales and to mainland Europe. I mean, well, we may now suddenly be forced into better communication with France and Germany and all of the other countries, and how we have failed to exploit that closeness. We are now sitting in the real sunny southeast, where we have more sunshine than in any other part of Ireland. We're in Rosslare. We're a few miles from the Europort. The vision of Liam Griffin, and that goes back to about 1982.
I've got very involved in looking at Rosslare in the last 3 months. Tom Enright has given me the job to work on Rosslare, and so I've taken it on board. But I have noticed a number of our politicians recently with big statements and press releases about this, that and the other. But big press releases and big statements won't make things happen, and are not going to make things happen. And if we're dependent on people who are making those statements, it won't happen. Making Rosslare happen is like starting a new business. It genuinely is. It's a daily effort. planning, working on out all the details, making all the connections, doing multiple deals, selling ourselves to many people who we need on board to make it happen. I'm talking here, Rosslare Harbour has a huge opportunity in the next few years. Huge opportunity. I could see Rosslare Harbour becoming a hub, a centre of excellence, an enterprise centre for Ireland for offshore wind energy. Offshore wind energy will be supplying 70% of all of Ireland's energy by 2030. That's only 10 years' time. Wexford and Rosslare can become the centre of that. It is in a very pivotal location. Rosslare is at the intersection of the Irish Sea and the Celtic Sea. Those seas will provide 70% of Ireland's energy from offshore wind. There is no place more strategically and better located in Ireland than Rosslare to become that centre. Now, but we've been passed by before by our politicians, as you say, in Dublin. And it's now up to the people of Wexford to make sure we're not passed by again. But that's not going to happen by statements and press releases and moaning and groaning. It's going to happen because a few people here in Rosslare has got to make it happen. We've got to actually do the deals. We've got to start talking to the companies who need to come to do it. And we got to work it out. We got to treat Rosslare like we're starting a business. We got to invest in it. We got to put the right people behind it. We got to sell it. We got to work our butts off to do it. And we will deserve the government then to get behind us. But we don't deserve it at the moment because we haven't gone to them with a proposal. We hadn't gone to him with a submission. We haven't gone to him to let him know why this is the best place in Ireland to become a hub and a centre of excellence for offshore wind. Offshore wind is probably one of the biggest opportunities for the economic development of Ireland, not talk about Wexford. So we have the opportunity, but by God, we need to do it now.
Are there any other big opportunities? Is there opportunity, for example, in increased agricultural production?
Yes, there is. There's a number of big opportunities. By the way, the biggest opportunity is offshore wind by a long shot. I'll put it like this. Do you know any opportunity in Wexford in the last 100 years to create 2,000 jobs? I don't know any. That's ready to be done here. That'll be done in 5 years' time. We could have 2,000 jobs in Rosslare. Imagine 2,000 extra people.
Cope with them? I mean, the houses here.
We'll build the houses.
Ed, could you give us a global picture of the opportunities for job creation in the Rosslare area of County Wexford, for example?
I can. The single biggest opportunity County Wexford, not Rosslare, but County Wexford has had for a lifetime, all of our lifetimes, is now a real possibility, and that is creating an industry for offshore wind energy out of the port of Rosslare. It's there to be done. It's the strategically most perfect location in Ireland. We just need to upgrade the port to allow it to be capable of handling all the traffic that comes through it. We can get the talent, we can get the people to come here, and we can get the energy companies, the builders, the construction companies to make it happen. So we're in a fantastic position. But look, if you're looking for what's the best thing for Rosslare, it is by far the best thing for Rosslare. There is nothing better. If you look at Brexit and Rosslare, effectively, lots of people are looking at Brexit now. That's good for Rosslare. Well, yes, it is. But in terms of jobs, it's not. It's an okay. We are only a port with throughput of people, throughput of trucks, throughput of this. It's Rosslare and Brexit. It's good for Ireland. But offshore wind is good for Ireland, Wexford, and particularly Rosslare. It will bring jobs, it'll bring money, it'll bring prosperity, it'll bring new housing, it'll bring new communities. It will revolutionise the Rosslare and South County Wexford if we take on offshore wind. So sometimes we're like that little game where we're hitting all these things, and as they pop up, the ideas pop up, we're keeping them down or whatever. Forget about so many other things here. This is the single biggest opportunity for Wexford and probably even the southeast of Ireland for the last 50 years and potentially for the next 20 or 30 years. We should not lose this opportunity. We should do whatever it takes to make sure nobody should stand in the way of this opportunity. What I mean by that is not the people of Wexford, not the politicians, not Irish Rail who run the port in Rosslare, not Wexford County Council, not Ed Murphy, not anybody else. Nobody is bigger than this opportunity, and no organisation or no person should be allowed to get in the way of making this happen. None. And if they do, they need to be knocked out of the way. Every obstacle is worth overcoming to make Rosslare the centre of excellence and the hub and the enterprise hub of offshore wind energy in Ireland, to create what would be 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, depend on how. So it's like a business. It depends on how many offshore wind farms we actually construct and support and maintain in the Irish and the Celtic Sea. This could be, as I say, 2,000 jobs or greater. So it's a fantastic opportunity. We should not lose it, and we shouldn't be allowed to lose it. And we'd be, in my view, we would be doing ourselves a major disservice, and we would be idiots to actually lose this now in Wexford. But it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of good people getting behind it to make it happen, and a lot of investment.
Don't forget to listen in next week for part 2 of this interview with Ed Murphy.
Keep listening to TRP.